Tanny Cooks here, and today I'm going to show you how to make my absolutely delicious loaded white grape chicken salad. It's loaded with bacon, hard-boiled eggs, it's some delicious white grapes, cucumbers, tomatoes, lettuce, spinach, so much goodness. So let's get to cooking. I have all of my ingredients out, and I'm starting off with my chicken. I have about 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I have about 4 pounds of skin on, bone in chicken thighs. I like to use a combination of dark meat and white meat. You could use all of either one, but my personal preference is to mix them both for the best taste. So I also have thick cut bacon. This is Hormel Black Label, 16 ounces. I have some white grapes. I have my favorite chicken and the biscuit crackers, highly processed but very delicious. I have dill relish because I prefer it over sweet relish, but use what you like. I have onion. I have zesty Italian salad dressing. Now I have my mayonnaise. I'm using Duke's mayonnaise. I have a couple of bags of salad kits with different types of lettuces as well as spinach. I'm actually not going to end up using all of this, but I wanted to have more than I need it just in case. I would rather have too much instead of too little. And this is iceberg lettuce that has cabbage and carrots in it. I also have some sweet cherry tomatoes as well as an English cucumber. So this is going to be a loaded, and carrots. A loaded chicken salad on top of lettuce to make it very hearty and a very filling meal. And I have some delicious and beautiful green leaf lettuce. So we're going to start off with our grapes. I wash all of my produce in water and white vinegar. It doesn't matter if it's organic or not organic. I still give it the same cleaning. So I let my fruits soak. And so since I have my grapes soaking in white vinegar and water, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to my tomatoes in a different bowl. Now I'm going to rinse off the vinegar part from my cucumber and my grapes. Look at these beautiful grapes, y'all. Okay, so now I'm using a whole new stainless steel bowl and I'm filling it with clean water and I am cleaning my chicken. So cleaning your chicken, some people say you don't need to do it, but I always do, just like my family does. It is the perfect time to inspect each piece of chicken so you can see if there are any feathers that need to come off, any extra pieces of fat. So I'm putting my chicken thighs as well as my boneless, skinless chicken breasts in this water. And of course, I am adding white vinegar. White vinegar is awesome for cleaning, disinfecting in a non-toxic way. So while that is soaking, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my steps for my vegetables. So I have my tomatoes that I'm going to dry off. So you see me putting them in another bowl with paper towels. And I'm just giving them a quick dry before I slice them in half. I'm also drying off my cucumber. I love cucumber, especially these English cucumbers because they don't have as much wax on them, if any at all, compared to the regular cucumbers that aren't wrapped in the plastic. And then I'm drying off my grapes. So now it is time for me to get my water started boiling so that I can go ahead and cook my chicken because that's the main start, right, of chicken salad. So you can see a little bit of gunk floating in the water. And on this first piece of chicken breast, I see an extra piece of fat that I know no one is going to want to chew on it in our chicken salad. So I'm just cutting it off. And I'm going to do that for my remaining pieces of chicken. Any extra piece of fat, I'm going to cut off. Now, I am leaving the skin on, you'll see when I get to the chicken thighs, because boiling your chicken with the skin on will add that extra fat to the boiling water, and that fat will be flavor and it will make it more moist. But if there are any impurities on the skin, any yellow gunk, any feathers, I am going to peel that part off of the skin. But we are going to leave the skin on, just take off extra fat and other stuff that doesn't belong. Look at that. That's a pretty piece of chicken. And as we're cleaning this chicken, you can see how the water is getting more and more cloudy. So do you want this to be in the water that's boiling that you're going to pull the chicken from to eat? I think not. So just go ahead and clean your chicken. It doesn't take that long. And as long as you sanitize your hands, your cutting boards, knives, sink, all of your surfaces, you'll be fine. Look at that water, y'all. Okay, so I have my chicken and my water in a pot, in my Catalan pot on the stove, and I'm going to add seasoning. It's important to season your food at every level that you're cooking, especially meat. You don't want to wait to the end and just season your meat. So I added complete seasoning. Now I'm adding garlic powder. And it looks like a lot, but you got to remember this is going into water. So all of the seasoning won't be in the meat, but hopefully a good portion of it will be absorbed into the meat, especially because we're using the salt, and that sodium is going to help this water absorb into the meat as well as the other seasonings. I love poultry seasoning. I have a link to it in my description box. It doesn't contain sodium. It has thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg, and that is a awesome combination. It just adds a delicious flavor. If you've never cooked with poultry season, I recommend you click the link in my description and buy it. I use it for other things besides chicken, right? You can use it for beef, you can use it for salads. Pasta is awesome. So try use some poultry seasoning. And the best price I found is just ordering it here on Amazon in the big container. So I didn't measure the amount of seasoning. I probably used about a tablespoon of everything. The salt, I probably used 2 teaspoons. I am reserved with salt because I don't want my food to be salty or high in sodium. But this is a beautiful Catalan pot. I also have a link to it in the description box because I like it so much. Notice this lid has holes on it on the side, and so the pot actually has a lip, a pointed lip on the end. So when you need to drain stuff in your sink, like boiling chicken or boiling pasta water, it is so easy to do with this lid. So I definitely recommend this pot set. In the other pot, I have my eggs boiling for my chicken salad, and now I'm going to get started with cutting my clean lettuce. It's clean looking, but of course, you know, I'm going to soak it in my vinegar water solution. So just give it a nice chop, bite-sized pieces, and then prepare your bowl with water and your white vinegar and add your lettuce. I have quite a bit of lettuce, so I'm doing this in sections. So I cut a little bit of lettuce, add it to my bowl, cut more lettuce, add it to the bowl of water, and give it a complete rinse so that I don't add too much at one time and it doesn't get clean. Now, cut the cucumbers. You just want to be sure to cut your cucumbers into bite-sized pieces that'll be comfortable for you and your guests to put on a fork and eat. So that's why I cut them in half. And next up are the tomatoes that have been cleaned and dried. Again, I'm just cutting these in half. If you don't have fresh grape or cherry tomatoes, you could get a can of diced tomatoes. You just want to be sure you get the kind that says no sodium so that your final dish doesn't come out extra salty, but that would be perfect as well. So now it's time for me to check my chicken, and you can see that it is boiling, and I'm just using my spatula with holes to make sure that I get some of the pieces from the bottom to the top so that the pieces on the top that maybe were partially boiled can get fully submerged, and then I'm going to let it continue. Next up, I'm going to drain my last bowl of lettuce. So it's been soaking in the vinegar water. I have this cool colander that kind of stretches over both sides of my sink, and then I'm just rinsing it off with the clean water as opposed to the vinegar water. And look at what's left in that bowl, y'all. This was lettuce that looked clean, but look at how that water ended up looking. Clean your food before you eat it. That's all I can say. Beautiful, beautiful green leaf lettuce. You could also use romaine lettuce or iceberg lettuce if you choose. And I love using a spinner. It helps to dry the vegetables quickly. Leafy vegetables. You could also use like a kitchen towel to do it as well. So this spinner is pretty cool. I just put the lid on and I just pull the handle with the string, and that makes the bowl spin. And then there's a button on the left that I can press to stop it when I'm ready to open the bowl. If I don't do that, then stuff will go flying everywhere. But look at that, y'all. My lettuce looks very, very dry. But I'm going to give it a couple more spins to make it sure it's completely dry, and then add it to my stainless steel bowl. And then I'll do the remaining wet lettuce with the same process. And look at the water that's left in the spinner. So, of course, click the link in my description box to see my favorite kitchen tools. These kitchen tools and gadgets really does make the cooking process a lot easier. So, that's our lettuce prep. Next up is our grapes. Now, I don't cut my grapes in half. I did that, but those pieces were kind of big. I like having smaller pieces of grape in every bite. So I cut my grapes in half, and then I cut each half in half again. So each grape is cut into 4 pieces. That's my personal preference. It's your food, so you can do it how you like it. But I just like to cut each grape into 4 pieces. And look at that, y'all. We have a bowl full of cut grapes. I didn't cut all the grapes. I will judge as I start mixing if I need to cut and add more. And look at our beautiful cucumbers and tomatoes. So we're just prepping each individual item, and then at the end it's all going to come together quickly and beautifully. So now I'm cutting up my yellow onion. Again, we don't want huge pieces of onion, so I'm going to slice them pretty thinly. I cut this in half, and now you can see as I'm slicing it, the slices are small. And this is my favorite way to marinate onions. So when I'm using fresh onions in a salad, I like to marinate them in oil and vinegar and seasonings. So I'm putting my fresh onions into a mason jar. You could use a shallow bowl if that's all you have, but mason jar is easy because you can shake it. So I'm adding some store-bought Kraft Italian dressing, which contains oil, vinegar, and seasoning. And I'm using my knife to make sure most of my onions are submerged. So just add a little bit more dressing to make sure it is fully submerged. And then you're going to put a top on this. Now you could add garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and you just want to let this sit for a good 20 minutes to an hour, and it's going to soften them, and the flavor will be delicious but not as pungent. So in my bowl, I opened up my spinach as well as iceberg lettuce mix. I have my green leaf lettuce, my grapes, and my cucumbers and tomatoes. So I'm almost ready to make my chicken salad. Next up, I just have to peel my boiled eggs. These are brown eggs. These eggs get so hot, so I put them in a colander. I run cool water over them and then peel them. Last up is my chicken, but since I boiled all this delicious chicken that's seasoned, I don't want to waste the broth. So I am using a mason jar and my awesome Calphalon pot that has the strainer on it to strain out that chicken broth, y'all. I'm putting that in a couple of mason jars. I'm going to save that once it cools down in my refrigerator, and then later in the week, if I have recipes that need chicken broth or chicken stock, I have it homemade, y'all. It's the sodium level I want because I don't use a lot of sodium. So you'll notice in the mason jar, the fat floats to the top, so you can just scrape that off and not use it. But this is awesomely beautiful chicken stock. So here's our seasoned chicken. It is burning up hot, so I'm going to let that cool and get my to-go containers to go for my family for their chicken salad. Family and friends, you know, my love language is food. So if I cook for you, that means I like you, and I do that often for the people I like. So I'm just starting off with a gloved hand, putting my lettuce into 6 containers, and then I'm adding my cucumbers and my tomatoes. And y'all, this is a lot for chicken salad because usually people just have the blended chicken and mayonnaise and call that chicken salad, but I like to do it up with different types of lettuces and different vegetables. So I really enjoyed this, and my family that had it enjoyed it as well. So leave me, if you are watching still at this point in the video, leave me a comment and let me know, what would you pay for this container of chicken salad with all these vegetables and the chicken salad and the other ingredients you're going to see? Just leave me a comment like where you're from, your city, and what you would pay, because it's probably more work that goes into a basic salad than most people would think, so more value, but let me know. Now I'm just adding my marinated onions from the mason jar. And you'll notice I'm adding more cucumbers and tomatoes because I like my salads to be equally mixed and not just all the veggies on top and not at the bottom. So for extra ingredient for this loaded salad, I'm making bacon, y'all. I put it in my air fryer on the bacon setting, which is 400 degrees. Check your bacon every 2 or 3 minutes until it's fully cooked and toss it as needed. So I've had my chicken in a bowl cooling and it is still hot. So I'm using this fork to peel off the meat from the bone. But I really like to get in here with my hands because that way it's easier for me to feel any skin or cartilage. So some of that cartilage might look like the meat. So if you use your hands, you can feel the difference. That cartilage, it won't hurt you, but it is a bit thick to chew on and you don't want anyone to choke on it. So use your hands and peel off everything other than the meat. Put your shredded meat in a bowl, and then I am checking my bacon. So My air fryer is at 400 degrees. Your air fryer might be a little bit different. I think mine started off at 8 or 10 minutes. You'll notice it's not fully cooked, so even with 4 minutes left, so I'm flipping my bacon over, and then I'm going to let it continue to cook. And if I need to add a couple of more minutes, then I certainly do that. So I added a few more minutes, and I turned down the temperature because I didn't want it to burn on the ends. I'm adding dill relish. If you like sweet relish, you can use that. I don't like the high fructose corn syrup taste in that, so I use dill relish. I'm adding a little bit of mustard. So I'm starting off with about a tablespoon and a half of mustard. Add a little bit to begin with, and then you can always add more later. So I added about a tablespoon of relish, a tablespoon of mustard, and I'm adding about a good 1 cup of mayonnaise. I don't like my chicken salad to be dry, but these are approximate proportions. So add some and then mix it up, and then remember, you can always add more. Now, this is the marinated salad dressing. This is the salad dressing for my marinated onions. I'm not going to let that go to waste. I'm going to add that to my chicken salad because mayonnaise is just oil and eggs, right? So we're just adding a little bit more oil to keep it moist, and it's highly seasoned and flavored. So that's a delicious component you don't want to just throw away. Remember, I had several pounds of chicken, so I'm definitely going to add more of everything to this, but I just wanted to start off pretty conservative. So now I have some Duke's mayonnaise that I'm just squirting into my bowl. I'm doing this by sight just because I make this so much. I know how I like it to look, but start off adding a cup of mayo, and then as you need to add more, you can just add half a cup at a time to get it to the consistency that you like. And when I shredded my chicken, I did shred them kind of in big chunks because you'll notice as I'm mixing it up, the pieces are breaking up a bit, and that's okay. So now I'm adding some lemon juice. I'm also adding some additional seasoning. The seasonings that I added to the chicken in the pot, but remember, a lot of that got diluted in the water. So to my mixture, I'm adding garlic powder, black pepper, seasoning salt, complete seasoning. At this point, you can start off adding a teaspoon of each seasoning and then add more as needed. You probably won't need to add more than a teaspoon of salt if you're using the same amount of pounds of chicken, but you may want to add 2 or 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, onion powder, or complete seasoning. It just go according to your personal taste. And I tasted it and I decided it needed a little bit more acidity, so I added some more lemon juice. You could also add some more dill relish, but now it's time for the grapes because I got everything else seasoned to my liking. And look at these grapes, y'all. Like fruit with meat, like fruit in a savory dish, is really an interesting concept, and it tastes so good. So you definitely want to try this out. I like using white grapes instead of red grapes here because, you know, red grapes might look like bugs in my chicken salad, and I don't like that. It's just a personal thing. So when I mix grapes in my salads, I always use the white grapes, which are basically a bright green color, but that's just one of my little weird OCD things that I obsess about. So now the final, and I am adding a little bit more mustard and mayonnaise, and again, add your ingredients to your personal liking. Okay, we're almost to the end, y'all. So now that almost everything is mixed, I'm going to give my boiled and peeled eggs that I cut in half a squeeze in my hand. Instead of chopping them up, I don't like my food minced, so I like squeezing it. It makes it in big enough pieces because as we stir it, remember the pieces are going to get a little bit smaller, but I like being able to identify each food component in the dish that I eat. So I'm adding eggs because eggs come from chicken, and this is chicken salad. So chicken and eggs, boom, extra flavor, extra texture, extra beautiful lookingness. So now we have our gorgeous bacon. So now I'm just loading it up. So this is a container of just the chicken salad. Other ones, I added chicken salad, boiled eggs, bacon, and I add smoked paprika on top. Y'all, look at how awesome and beautiful and delicious this looks like. This was absolutely delicious when you mix it all together. So much flavor. You definitely want to try my recipe for loaded chicken salad because it will knock your socks off. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and help me get to my first 2,000 subscribers.